Thank you. My name is Rosalind Castles, and I would like to invite Mel Clifton up to stand beside me. He's on day 11, is it, of the hunger strike?
Yeah.
I'd like you to give him a big hand.
Let's go, Mel!
I only lasted 8 days. It was hard, though. So I'd like everybody to please support Mel and send him messages of hope and support when he stays on or stays off the hunger strike, whatever happens in the future. But I want to, after 8 days, I kicked out and Mel is still at it. Congratulations. And anybody who'd like to join us, we've got a hunger strike camp going here, so don't be shy and come down. Bring them whatever they're able to have in terms of liquids, moral support, and just songs, whatever. Thank you very much. And I'm here today to mention a little bit about the wildlife. I'd just like to say that the wildlife are the absent referent in all of the discussions we're having here today. And I know for many people that their thoughts are inclusive of the wildlife, but I'd like to say specifically that a lot of the protections that are offered to the wildlife in the Site C area are not being enforced or recognized. I would like to mention that 3/4 of birds species in BC live in the Peace. This doesn't include migrating or wintering birds, which are protected by the Migratory Birds Convention Act. And if anything is going to get a federal wildlife officer out to stop a project, it is that convention. I've used it before and I've stopped projects before. Do call them if you see any migrating birds there or any nests of migrating birds, because the project must be stopped immediately. The convention is very strict on that. And regards to the BC Ministry of Forests, Lands and Natural Resources, they have said publicly that Site C would push some species close to extinction and that species at risk have low resilience to disturbance. There's a number of rare plants and animals that are found only in the Peace Valley. They would be extinguished by Site C, including the Peace daisy and the persistent sepal yellow cress. Also, Harriet sage and old man's whiskers are red-listed species found only in the Peace region. Many of you who have visited there have seen lots of beautiful species of wildlife. The panel of scientists and members of the public who took part in the investigation as to the possible adverse effects of Site C said that the panel said that Site C would cause significant permanent adverse effects on migratory birds which cannot be mitigated. As we are signatory to the Migratory Birds Convention Act, Site C is a violation of our international commitment there. Some ecosystems, said the panel, which would be lost to the project cannot ever be recreated. Their loss is complete, permanent, irreversible. Other ecological communities would see their status become more precarious, would push them up the list towards endangered, extirpated, or extinct. SARA, the Species at Risk Act, which is a federal act. The Canadian warbler, the common nighthawk, the olive-sided flycatcher are threatened. The ground-nesting short-eared owl, the western toad, the yellow rail, see, they agree. The rusty blackbird are of special concern, as is the northern caribou population of woodland caribou. That's a federal law. We must demand our federal law be enforced. In addition, under COSEWIC, the Committee on the Status of Endangered Wildlife in Canada, they list a number of Site C residents, the little brown northern Myotis bat, and the grizzly bear as a special concern. The bats are endangered. There's also concern over lack of assessment of grizzly bears due to lack of research, and we don't know how badly they'll be affected. Also threatened are the barn swallow, the horned grebe, and the bull trout. Overall, at least 63 species in the Peace area are affected by Site C dam. They're already at risk. They're listed federally and or provincially, including 23 species of invertebrates, 1 amphibian, 30 migratory birds, 2 raptors, and 6 mammals. The following species would see their status worsen due to Site C. Nelson's sparrow, yellow rail, eastern phoebe, LeConte sparrow, old world swallowtail, it's a butterfly. The following are insects: Alberta Arctic, striped hair streak, great spangled street common wood nymph, Euler's Arctic tawny crescent, Arctic blue, Aphrodite, fritillary, sharp, and birds as well, sharp-tailed grouse, and Baltimore oriole. Western toad are also considered of insignificant adverse effects. The panel also came to the conclusion that significant adverse effects would happen to the broad-winged owl, the short-eared owl, which is a ground nesting species very vulnerable to the flooding, the eastern red bat, the little brown Myotis bat, and the northern Myotis bat. Fishers and bears would be affected, but there's insufficient research to know how much, as you're familiar with. Site C is home to 6 red-listed and 10 blue-listed waterfowl and shorebirds. Woodpeckers would lose vital habitat. Other species listed are of concern, including Rocky Mountain elk, moose, mule deer, and the northern goshawk. Environment Canada must enforce the Migratory Birds Convention Act, which states it prohibits any person from killing a migratory bird or disturbing, destroying, or taking a nest, egg, or nesting shelter of a migratory bird. It's up to us to report any violations of this act and have it enforced. Environment Canada said the project would cause mortality of migratory birds for sure by killing individuals or destroying active nests. The panel concluded that losses of migratory birds would be permanent and unmitigatable. For shame.
Yay!
In